right, everybody, welcome in. Time for the C&C Auto Show, a Saturday tradition. Well, that's right, giving you advice, tips, and information about your car, truck, or SUV. All you have to do is call in and ask the question of our experts. We've got Aaron Clements and John Ryan Mooney standing by today, ready to bring you all that great advice. So have some fun. Sit back, relax, and if you do have a question, call in. It's time for the C&C Auto Show. Here's Aaron Clements and John Ryan Mooney.
And we would also like to say good morning and welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And we're both here to share information with you. Our goal is to give you information to make your car, truck, or SUV safer, to make it more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. And we have several methods to do that, but by far our preferred method is by that telephone. We do that because we get to talk to you, and that's what we enjoy doing. And hopefully the show is enjoyable to others, and it needs to be enjoyable for us. And that's what makes us happy when we get to talk to you.
Yeah, we don't really like talking to each other.
I know.
Gets old.
and plus we get to ask you some questions along with you asking us questions, and that makes it fun. So between 8 and 10 on any Saturday morning from any location that you might be, give us a call, and that number is 706-863-5800. Again, that's 706-863-5800. Give us a call. Now, you can also watch this same show live from 8 to 10 at ccautoshow.com, and you can also watch past shows on YouTube. Now, before we fire this thing up, I like to mention that if you're looking for a great professional automotive repair facility, and this is almost anywhere in the country that you might be at.
Yep.
I went to a meeting in Columbia, South Carolina on Tuesday night of this week, and I didn't know this, but there are now over 16,000 auto care centers in the country. That is huge. I mean, huge. So just about anywhere you go, there's going to be some Napa Auto Care centers. And what that is great is it gives you a lot of options, because you can just go to NapaAutoCare.com,
right,
and you can go to find a location, and you'll get a lot of options.
Yep.
And
you can narrow it down to mileage or zip code or anything.
You look at their websites, and you're able to find the one that's right for you. And then if you don't already have a repair facility that you deal with, and it's in your location, you can build a relationship with that. So, and I'll mention also, if you like to work on the cars yourself, which is fine. Some people love gardening. Some people love to work on their cars. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Go to NapaOnline.com to find a parts place near you.
Even if you don't know what a part looks like on your vehicle, you can do a search, and they have some awesome pictures of parts on there too.
Yeah, they have a beautiful website that you can look up parts with, and that way it decreases by far the chance of you getting the wrong one, because you take it off and you set it on your living room table.
Yeah. Then you can find it.
You know how well that goes over. And then you can look it up on the internet and see the picture of it.
That's right.
So if you go get parts, you might as well get the good stuff. Okay, John Ryan, do you think we should fire it off?
Yeah, it sounds still pretty weak still.
That sounded okay.
It sounds like
fairly well.
Sound like a Ford Contour.
Yeah, I think we're cooking today. That one, we got fuel injection and everything going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, during this show, along with answering your questions, we normally have a theme for the show.
Yep.
And this is no exception. We do have a theme this morning, and to me, it's a very important theme that is started many years back.
It did.
And it has gotten
it's getting a little tight.
It's been, that's the word. That's it. That was the word I was looking for. We
had to search the dictionary for that one.
Yeah, you did good. The subject that we'll be talking about is automotive emission controls. And they'll become a part of the car, truck, and SUVs, and it's important that we know what the systems do, how they work, and how to take care of those systems. And you can join us again, 8 to 10, any Saturday morning from anywhere that you might be, 706-863-5800. Now, we'll be going to the phones in just a second. But before we do, I want to mention just a little bit about emission controls. The first effort at controlling pollution from automobiles was The PCV valve.
Yeah.
Very, very
Also
simple
confused
device.
as PVC,
Yeah.
like the pipe.
Yeah, exactly. But the PCV system stands for positive crankcase ventilation, and this system draws crankcase fumes, heavy and unburned hydrocarbons into the engine's intake tract so they can be burned rather than just releasing them like they did in the 60s.
Yeah.
You'd see cars, 50s and 60s, and before that, you'd see smoke coming out from under the car.
Yep.
That was that unburned gas. Now that gets burned back in the engine. And the first installation on a widespread basis by law on all new cars was in 1961.
Right.
And that was cars sold in California. The following year, New York required it, and by 1964, most every car sold in the U.S. had to have a PCV system, and we still use a very similar system to that today. As a matter of fact, some
no
cars
doubt
still
it's changed some. It's got some electronic devices that control it, and then of course some of them are heated. But a lot of people probably just remember that in their, the old days, their vehicle on the valve cover, they'd see 2 breathers or 1 breather, and that's why you don't see those anymore, because it's all being reburned or recycled, if you want to call it that.
We're kind of closing off different systems.
Yeah,
to
sealing it up.
to keep vapors from combustion from seeping into the atmosphere.
That's right.
Okay, are we ready to go to the telephones?
Yeah, let's go straight to Janice.
Perfect. Good morning, Janice, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Hello.
Hello there. And what can we help you with today?
Hello.
Hey, Janice. Janice. I don't think...
Hold on, guys. Let me put her on
Okay.
hold, and I'll let you go back to her.
Okay, Janice will be coming back to us. But in talking about the PCV system, the
Yeah.
PCV valve was one of the simplest devices that you could think of. All
Yep.
it did was just put a slight vacuum.
Yeah, I
pulling from
always
the
used to
engine.
remember it being called a calibrated vacuum leak.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You want to let's try Janice one more time?
Yeah.
Good morning, Janice, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Hello.
Hey, Janice. Yeah, we just can't get Janice yet. We'll have to work with her back again a little bit later. So we'll go back to
We'll go back to talking to each other again.
Yeah, we will. But we do have some other
Yay.
phones coming in. And before we go to that next phone call, and we hope to get Janice back in just a little bit, but I was going to cover a lot of different things, so I'll cover these in between while the calls are coming in.
All right.
There. In 2009, Barack Obama announced a new national fuel economy and emissions policy that incorporated California's contested plan to curb greenhouse gas emissions on its own, apart from the federal government. Now, this is what gets a little interesting. The combined fleet economy for an auto manufacturer of cars and trucks with a GVWR of 10,000 pounds or less will have to average 35.5 miles per gallon.
Wow.
And that's a lot of what they're doing to be a manufacturer. Car manufacturers have to have their whole fleet average a certain amount. So if they sell these larger trucks that get very low mileage, they have to offset that. And that's the reason a lot of the car manufacturers actually sell electric cars
To offset that
or
number,
hybrid
yeah.
cars at a very low price in order to sell a lot of those
Right.
to offset the larger vehicles that are actually selling a lot better, especially now
Yeah, that
with the
makes
fuel
sense.
prices down. The average for all its cars will have to be 42 miles an hour, and its trucks 26 by 2016 and meet the CAFE standards. And if an average fuel economy of a manufacturer average fleet vehicle production falls below the defined standard, the manufacturer must pay a penalty, which is currently $5.50 per 0.1 mile per gallon under the standard, multiplied by the manufacturer's total production
Wow.
of U.S. market. So
That'll put a hurting on you.
they want to meet those standards. Okay, we're ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, let's go to Rob.
Fantastic. Good morning, Rob, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Right, good morning.
Good morning.
I had this car since '99, and the spare in there is still just new. I think it just used it just one time. It was since 1999, and it for around about 30 minutes just to get the get the car to the crazy thing. Is that tire any good now? It looks good to me, but I know there's some. If anything, you rule from when you change the tire, should I change the tire?
Right.
Too old,
Rob,
you know,
this is a temporary tire, right? It's not a full-size spare?
No, it's a full time.
Oh, it is a full size. Okay. No doubt, being that it's a 99, obviously that tire's most likely a 99 too. So as far as time, what they say, of course, it would be better to replace that tire. If it's something that you were on the side of the road and you were stuck and in a bind, I feel like it would do okay, to get you off the road. But I wouldn't plan a 500-mile trip on that tire or anything like that. With the price of tires, and if you just wanted that peace of mind, I'd suggest just go ahead and replacing it.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, Rob,
Okay,
what happened with tires, and they discovered this during the Firestone issues years back. A lot of, and this is kind of sad, I know a lot of people got hurt or killed during that situation.
Yeah, that period
as
of
they
time.
were learning more. Of course, TPMS sensors come out. Tire pressure monitoring system became mandated not too long after that. But also they discovered that just because a tire looks good does not mean that it is good. And that's a direct result from them making tires lasting so long, the rubber compounds can last so long that actually the inside of the tire can go bad before the outside in some cases.
Very similar to a radiator hose.
Exactly. So when you're driving on that tire, you might look at it and say, yeah, this looks great, but the tread or the cords inside the tire can separate as you're on the road. And of course, you won't know that until you build up a lot of heat in a tire, and you don't build up the heat until you're 70 miles an hour down the highway or interstate.
That's right.
And it can cause an accident. So I agree with John Ryan. Just
and
use
then it blows up and it has a window inside of it and you can see, and you needed a tire.
Yeah, and I would use it as a spare for very short periods of time. And keep in mind the tire could separate, so keep your speeds down as you're, like if you have to put it on there, like if you have a flat and have to run it, just keep your speeds down. But John Ryan's right in another case also. There are a lot of options on tires now. It used to be you'd have to get really expensive tires. Now you can get some really good tires at good prices.
Okay, good. You answered my question. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
we
Rob.
thank you, Rob. We really do appreciate your call. Let's go to Janice.
Yeah, we got about 2 minutes before a break, Aaron.
Yes. How are you?
Doing great.
You got
Janice.
us dialed in now.
Okay, good. I'm on my cell phone. Listen, I have a Dodge Dakota 2001. And I have been having a lot of trouble here lately with the gear shift, putting it in backing up or going forward. And I think it's because a bolt is missing. My sister found a bolt on the driveway, and that's where I keep it parked. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking if that bolt was back in there, maybe I wouldn't have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Janice, it sounds like you solved the puzzle.
Really?
Very possible. If you're having problems with the linkage, there could be, a bolt that secures that linkage that has come loose, which isn't, of course, it's not uncommon for it to come loose. So I would have maybe a technician, maybe if you can keep that bolt handy and have them say, do just what you said. This bolt fell out, put it back in. And that would, that would probably take care of it. Sounds like one of the securing bolts for the linkage has come loose.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Janice, we thank you so much also. And we're going to have to go to a quick break. When I ask ML to hold on because we'll be coming right back. And when we return, I'll let you know when and where mandated emission control testing began. And I bet you already know that.
Wasn't it C&C?
But we'll be right back. And we are back, and if you're watching at ccautoshow.com, you get to see me dance just a little bit right forward.
You remind me of lightning. You don't really know where you're going to land. Kind of scared to stand beside you.
That's scary.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to the C&C Aut Show. The first legislated exhaust tailpipe emission standards were done by the state of California, of course, for 1966 model cars sold in that state, followed by the United States as a whole in model year 1968. It happens in California and always seems to spread across the country after that. The standards were progressively tightened by year to year, as mandated by the EPA, and it's not mandated, but we would love for you to call and ask your automotive questions between 8 and 10 from anywhere that you might be at. and that number 706-863-5800. And John Ron, we worked out a plan.
What we got?
I think we said we would go to the next caller.
Yep.
And I think that would be ML.
Yes, ML or MI. I can't see.
One of those two.
All right, you
and
ready?
then right after that, we'll do detective quiz. Then we go to Richard and WJ.
All
Ready?
right. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, that would be MI or ML in South Carolina. Good morning. Welcome to the show. ML.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And what can we help you with?
A 99 Toyota 4Runner is a 3.4 two-wheel drive vehicle. And I have a couple of questions I need to get some information from you all on it.
We're ready.
We would love to.
All right. You've helped me before, and you were right on the money with it.
Woo!
What's the problem is when I crank it up when it's cold, even though I let it run for usually at least 3 minutes, when I take off, it's kind of sluggish and shifted. Now, I've always changed the transmission fluid regularly, and it shifts fine once the engine is warmed up. But it seems to whine a little bit before shifting when it's cold, when the vehicle is cold.
Okay.
After running that long, do you think that a thermostat or something may be causing that?
No doubt that's possible, but how many miles are on this vehicle?
It's got about 180,000.
Okay, so that's really nothing on that vehicle. That's just kind of getting into the good years right there. Has anyone checked the fluid lately?
Yes.
And is
the
it-
last time when I had it changed, the guy told me, he said, I don't know why you're changing it. The pan was just as clean. There's no trash, no nothing in it. And he
Did
said
you
the
tell him you
fluid
wanted to keep it that way?
Yeah. And he said the fluid was good. It was not burned or anything like that.
Well, the reason I ask is, with you mentioning that it whines a little bit, that makes me worry that there may be, slightly low on fluid. If that transmission pump gets a little bit of air in it, that causes typically a hydraulic whine like what you're mentioning. So I would definitely check the fluid level, when it's hot on that vehicle, and make sure it's right in the middle. Of course, there's a cold mark and a hot mark. You want it kind of closer to the hot mark, being that the vehicle will be hot. Because if it's, say, at the cold line and the vehicle's hot, when it is cold, that means it's actually a little low. So you want to be absolutely sure that fluid level's perfect, because there's really not much other that would cause that, short of low fluid.
Yeah, and ML, I believe that I would recommend also, before you go to the next level, also after the fluid has been checked,
Right.
go ahead and run some checks to make sure where that whining noise is coming from. It may well be coming from the transmission, but you also may have an idler pulley or something on the front of the engine making a whining noise that would make it sound like the transmission.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you've got a whining noise and it's making that noise, so that could mean that you've got some excessive wear in the transmission, which could mean buttering it along and still getting a lot more miles out of it.
Or you could park it in your living room, just keep it warm all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I could. But it's not so much of a whine, and it's sluggish and shifted.
Right. That's still characteristic of low fluid. Of course, that vehicle, it's got to pull fluid up from the pan, of course, through the filter, through the valve body, and through all the clutch packs and everything. And when it's cold, and of course, you're just starting out, if it's slightly low, there's a possibility of air being trapped in there. Of course, we describe a lot of times when people go around corners, their say you make a right-hand turn and the transmission wants to slip or something like that. That's also a characteristic of a transmission being low on fluid, because, of course, it's pulling air, and it'll do some kind of funny things. It'll shift funny, it'll slip, and then, of course, bang in gear. So obviously yours isn't doing all that, but that's just kind of, an idea of what can happen.
Okay. The next question is, with that vehicle, the manufacturer recommends, I believe it's 5W30 on it, on that motor oil.
Yes, sir.
Would going to what next level oil would you go as far as maybe a heavier weight than that?
I would stick with that oil until that vehicle is buried in the ground.
Yeah.
The manufacturers, of course, they made that engine with a specific tolerance, for different things like the cam bearings, the wrist pins and everything. And if you go to a thicker oil, that oil may not travel to those tight clearances. Years ago, that was okay to do because, of course, engines wore, the bearings wore and everything kind of got, more mechanical clearance and everything, but not on today's engines. That engine will probably, as long as you use that oil for a very long time, that specific weight. That's what we always say. It doesn't necessarily matter what brand you use. Of course, everybody has their own preference, but as long as you use that specific weight, that vehicle will last forever.
Okay, those high mileage motor oils, are they a heavier weight type oil? Or?
No, they just have different detergents. Some of them even have properties in it to swell different seals, just a small, minute amount. That way, if you have a small seepage somewhere, say a rear main seal or something like that, it can swell that seal to where it will seal off a little better. But as far as the weight, if it says 530, it doesn't, it could be Rotella, it could be Shell, it could be Mobil 1. The properties of the weight are going to be the same.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to hold you guys up any longer, and we'll let you go on to help some more individuals. And thank you very much.
Yes, sir. We appreciate the call.
We really appreciate your phone call. And, John Ron, let's skip our plan just a little bit and go to our next call.
I know. I like talking to the people calling.
I enjoy that. It's a lot of fun.
We're boring.
Good morning, Richard in Georgia, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
We are doing very well. Appreciate the call.
Yes, I have a 2004 Dodge Ram 1500,
Mm-hmm.
and it came with just wired in at the back bumper a 4-pin trailer connector.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm hooking up my boat trailer, my driver's side lights on my boat trailer are not working in the rear.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I found out after researching, that the yellow wire that goes to that 4-pin connector for under the truck is dead. And I checked the fuses. There's two 15-amp fuses up in the fuse box. And both of those are good. One says left side and one says right side. Trailer lights on it. And both of those are good. So I followed that yellow wire.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah.
We're going to need to take a real quick break.
Yeah, hold on for us. I think
is there a
I can
chance
solve
you can
that.
hold on just for a second, and we'll be right back with you?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, it won't take long at all. We'll be back. When we return, we'll be talking with Richard, and also we'll mention a few words about catalytic converters and when they were mandated. We'll be right back. And we are back, and we'll be talking about the catalytic converters shortly because Richard was talking about some trailer wires that he had on his Dodge Ram, and I would love to hear the rest of what he's going through, and we'll try to help.
All right, Richard, you're back with us. What lights aren't working as far as, is it the running lights, the brake lights? What do we got going on? You there, Richard?
Hey,
On the
Richard.
driver's side. Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
there. What lights are not working?
The brake light and the turn signal light on the driver's side at the back of the trailer, they're not working.
Mm-hmm.
The running lights are working. The running lights run off the brown wire.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Right.
working fine.
And you mentioned the yellow wire was dead.